too. So Knutzi thinking about making a second push in, realizes that BratOK doesn't have that many units right now, but here comes BratOK's cloaked Banshee and going to be tearing apart this Knutzi, trying to chrono boost his observer, but this cloaked Banshee is going to have a field day right now with these probes. Knutzi forced to retreat his probes, so all mining is stopping. Meanwhile, BratOK looking like he's going to just kind of replenish his economy. Still very far behind, but at the same time researching concussive shells for the Marauders, and we'll see whether or not BratOK can stage a comeback at this point. The observer came out, and that Banshee is run off back to the corner of the map where almost no one will find him for the rest of the game. Hopefully BratOK will remember that he's just kind of sitting there. Meanwhile, Knutzi going to be going for another push right now that he's held off his base. Not going to be going any cannons. It looks like he's just kind of dedicating this push, thinking that he's severely hurt BratOK's economy and is about to kind of push in again. BratOK, meanwhile, only again has 7 Marines and those 3 Banshees. These Banshees are going to hover out. Oh no, they're going to get caught off, and with this observer here, the cloak's not going to help them. So both of them are just going to be eaten alive by these stalkers. And right now, looks like Knutzi's going to push in. I don't know if BratOK's going to have enough units really to hold off on, but meanwhile, it looks like BratOK going to be bringing in that Banshee that was out in the Netherlands and going to be doing some damage to Knutzi's economy right now. Knutzi not going to be pulling off those SCVs. Meanwhile, back at the base, looks like the army is going to barely hold on. I think Knutzi can just kind of push in there, but the Marines just doing massive amounts of damage right now. And Knutzi, I think, realizing that his economy has kind of fallen and having to have his mind in 2 places at once, decides to pull back. BratOK getting a Raven to get rid of that, that observer in his base. Doesn't want that there, doesn't want that scouting. But this hero Banshee right now with 11 kills has been upgraded to a sergeant, and looking at the harvester count, it looks like BratOK has evened things out. So, you know, great job by BratOK to keep his cool, make sure that he can hold his defense, meanwhile still being able to do damage and just getting that timing down to harm Knutzi. Knutzi now not too sure if he wants to push in. BratOK has now gotten enough units, and we'll have that point defense drone to really absorb some of that firepower from the stalkers. And I think waiting for his observer to get in there so he can see the high ground and won't take too much fire from that bunker. But now that observer is getting fried, Knutzi now just going to kind of retreat and maybe just scared of the hero Banshee just waiting out here too. Meanwhile, going to be throwing down a Twilight Council, might be researching Blink, so we'll see how it goes. And yeah, great job by BratOK keeping his cool and able to kind of divert, wait for the timing of his opponent to come in and even out that harvester count. So BratOK not very far behind right now, going massive Marines at this point. Just a handful of Marauders, but just pumping out more Marines and getting ready to expand. Kind of has a sense that Knutzi is just kind of going to stay here. Knutzi, I think, going for a timing attack, going to be researching charge for those zealots and then trying to run them in. But BratOK, great job keeping his cool. Happily, he's just churning along, now about to go for his expansion and just kind of transition towards that mid-game, even though he was only down to 11 SCVs, had 8 stalkers in his base when he had only had 2 Banshees in the air. So great job by BratOK, and now using the hero Banshee to run around and scout and just making sure that Knutzi hasn't done anything else like taking the expansion. Knutzi, meanwhile, looking like he's kind of dedicated to this, not choosing to expand, wants to go for an all-in push, thinks that BratOK is economically disadvantaged, and BratOK is just going to wait for a good time now to take this command center and get his expansion. So BratOK getting a scan down, has an SCV scouting here to make sure that Knutzi hasn't taken his expansion yet either. So BratOK knows that Knutzi's on one base, knows that he just has a ton of units about to come out. And probably once that charge has researched, it has. So Knutzi with the timing attack right now, going to be pushing ahead with those zealots. He did not have a forge, so hasn't upgraded any of his units right now. So everyone at 0. I don't think BratOK has had the time to do that either with all that early pressure going on from the 48. But meanwhile, BratOK has 28 Marines on the field, that 1 Banshee and just a handful of Marauders. We'll see whether or not that can hold off this pretty decent sized army, although BratOK is pretty even with Knutzi at this point in terms of army count. Harvester-wise, they're pretty even as well. BratOK having a slight advantage because of those mules, or just because it looks like, BratOK ran that hero Banshee back into the base. So great timing by BratOK, forcing Knutzi to run. I don't know why his probes are running all the way down here, but I think he just kind of was planning to attack at the same time. Meanwhile, BratOK easily able to hold off that force. The probes are just out in the middle of nowhere right now, and BratOK saw this. He could probably snipe those out pretty quickly, but this hero Banshee now going in for the third attack had 7 more kills before the probes could get out of there. So great job by BratOK using that Banshee wisely, knowing that his opponent has detection in the base. I mean, there is that that observer is going to come out now. I think this hero Banshee finally going to go down as a captain, as the hero of the comeback from BratOK. No, he's going to retreat and live another day. I hope BratOK brings it back and just repairs it. Meanwhile, BratOK using that timing and advantage to place his expansion down. So now BratOK, I think, significantly ahead. If we look at the army count, yeah, he's pulled very far ahead, and because of that constant harassment, that constant pressuring harassment at the base, and just a great timing by BratOK to try to pick him off, keep that Banshee out there, not run it back, but just wait for the right time. Knutzi trying to scout with one of his zealots right now, and this is not looking too good for Knutzi at this point. BratOK doing some pretty decent micro to spread out his Marines, kind of draw some fire away from the units, and Knutzi now, I think, forced to retreat. Too many Marines to deal with. Marines in this massive number taking out, just deciding to take out that pylon when they saw it. With the stim and the medvacs, Knutzi's going to have a huge problem without some sort of Colossus in here. And Knutzi going to go down, has to throw down a GG. BratOK with an excellent comeback, keeping his cool and making sure that he could exact his revenge with that hero Banshee, which is now coming back, wants to get more kills as a captain. And great game by BratOK, showing a lot of cool, calm collectedness, and really able how to hold off that 4-gate effectively, and even with minimal units, how to catch up, really using that Banshee to his advantage. So great game by BratOK, and this has been another broadcast by JCS Starcraft, so I'm signing off.